Welcome, albeit virtually, to what is perhaps the most tangible symbol of our connection with the community's history, the chapel, which for the most part of 130 years has been a focus of the life of our students and staff. Maybe some of you in the past have come here to pray, or to enjoy this building's beauty, or its warmth, or its silence. Maybe some of you have found your way here in order to celebrate, or to mourn. Maybe some of you will, like others who have graduated from our community, come back here to celebrate your wedding, or to bring your children to be baptized. But above all, I hope that you know that this place will never stop being your chapel, and that it will help give you a sense that you are an inextricable part of this community's amazing ongoing story, and your solidarity with its rather wonderful past. But first, I ask you to take a brief moment to reflect on the path that has led you to this moment, and, if it is your custom, to pray with me for all of our newest graduates. Let us pray. O God, maker of all that is, bless and approve our offering here today. The degrees that have been earned as proof of a deep quest, the fruit of long academic, physical, emotional, and spiritual labor. In the days, months, and years ahead, grant that all who graduate today may come to know more clearly the purpose that their labors, their learning, and their degrees will play in the divine plan, to the greater glory of the one who is love itself. We ask this in the name of Jesus, the light of the world. Amen.
Graduands of Bishop Grosseteste University and friends and family of our graduands who are tuning into this event. As Vice-Chancellor of the University, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this virtual graduation to celebrate and reward the success of the BGU class of 2021. As you will appreciate, we had hoped that we would be in a position to welcome you all to Lincoln Cathedral. Nevertheless, I want to assure you that this ceremony is as important an occasion as evidenced by the presence of the mace, which is an integral element of the ceremonial life of the university. The graduation ceremony is being hosted in a similarly sacred space to the cathedral, namely our university chapel. Although smaller in scale, this building is situated both physically and metaphorically right at the heart of our campus. And I know that some of you will be more familiar with the building than others, but it is special to all of us at BGU. Dedicated to Saints Francis and Clare, it was formally opened on October the 5th, 1872, following a 3-year period of building at the cost of £916, which is equivalent in today's money of around £60,000. Like many religious buildings at the time, it was opened before it was either finished or furnished. But what we see today is the result of the gradual improvements made by the generous support given by successive generations of staff and students. The chapel has been an integral part of life on campus for the past 160 years and has flourished through the ups and downs of campus life, as well as events in the world. For example, it has witnessed the Spanish flu, 2 world wars, and now a global pandemic. And my colleagues and I very much admire the way that you adapted to the changes. You were flexible to the challenges which we all faced, and you have emerged from the past year not just as successful, but as exemplary. Alongside all of the challenges you faced in relation to your studies, I understand that many of you have been doing simple things for others, such as shopping for vulnerable adults, volunteering, donating to charity, or simply reaching out to people who are experiencing loneliness or isolation. Those of you who have been on campus have been very creative in balancing lockdown with life, and you have been looking out for and supporting your colleagues. In all of that, you were demonstrating the values that we built with you here at BG, values of respect, integrity, courage, and resilience. Embodying these make you stand out as a graduate of the institution and ambassadors of the quality that this university represents. You are the latest in the long line of BGU graduates who have emerged from their studies stronger, more resilient and positive, despite the turbulence which has affected all of us. And as a result, you are more able to face the ups and downs of life. Upon leaving BG, you will use your skills and knowledge to make a difference in society, each in your own unique way. I know that some of you will be on the front line, for example, in education or in health and social care. Others will still be seeking employment or going on to further study. And some of you may be continuing to look for opportunities or deciding what you want to do next. I want to emphasize to you that this is not the end of our journey together as part of the BGU community. Your association with BGU is for life. For those of you who have not yet decided what you want to do in the shorter term, I would just like to remind you that we remain committed to your success as graduates of this institution, and that our colleagues in the Careers, Employability and Enterprise Centre are happy to work with you to help you find your suitable next step. You're an integral part of our family of alumni, a growing global body of BGU graduates. We will always remain interested in your progress, and we will continue to support you, because without you, the university would not be what it is today. We're in regular contact with our former students, so if you have a particular story to tell, which demonstrates what you gained as a graduate and how you have developed as an individual and professional, then please let us know. We're always happy to advertise our graduates' successes. So in conclusion, my huge congratulations to you. Everyone at the university, that is to say the staff, our university council and continuing students, are immensely proud of you, and we're all inspired by what you have achieved. I wish you all the very best in the adventures that lie ahead of you. You have all that you need to succeed. So take time today to celebrate in your own way, in your own context, and to reflect on your success so far.
I have the pleasure to present our honorary graduate, Susan Hollingworth, BEM. A graduate of the Royal School of Music, Associate of the Royal Manchester College of Music, and honorary of a British Empire Medal for her services to both music nationally and within her own community. Susan Hollingworth is a musical ambassador who has worked tirelessly to support the arts in North Lincolnshire and continues to divide her time between being a choral conductor and a music educator. Susan has worked to support and establish a thriving choral community in Scunthorpe and has developed music education programmes in schools across the area. Susan believes passionately that everyone can be taught to sing and strives for choral excellence both within open access choirs, educational settings and elite choirs. She continues to champion the vital importance of music and the arts for people of all ages and all backgrounds. As a music educator, Susan has worked for many local and national organisations, including 10 years as Director of Music at John Leggett Sixth Form College, Scunthorpe, visiting lecturer at the Royal Northern College of Music, working with students on the specialist PGCE course, Senior Advisory Teacher for the Voices Foundation, an advocate for the Sing Up programme and Train the Trainers. Susan continues to spread her passion, knowledge and expertise with others, regularly delivering workshops and training sessions for Sing for Pleasure, the British Cowdy Academy, music education hubs, universities and colleges around the country, and is a conducting tutor for the Association of British Choral Directors, where she is a Vice President. And Susan's contribution to music education does not end there, as a current project sees Susan working with a team on developing an app to help people learn to sing. Sign me up. In addition to Susan's significant work with training teachers to teach music and emerging choir leaders to conduct, Susan also has an extensive conducting career where she has worked with both adults and young choirs. I believe it is in this role where Susan was able to change the lives of many young children in Scunthorpe, including some of our fellow colleagues here at Bishop Grosseteste University, and personal friends and relatives of mine. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you, Susan, as many have continued to follow in your footsteps and continue to act as champions of the vital importance of music and the arts for all people of all ages and all backgrounds. Beyond this, Susan's accomplishments whilst working with young choirs has seen her providing opportunities for young people from North Lincolnshire to perform all over the world, including at the Millennium Dome on the night of the Millennium and the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000. Thanks to her work as musical and creative director, Susan was able to bring music into the many lives of children and young people of all backgrounds and abilities, from the age of 3 through to the age of 18, whilst taking them on the most amazing musical journey. For Susan Hollingworth's notable contributions to music, both nationally and within her own community, I am pleased to present her as a worthy candidate for the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
I would like to thank the Vice-Chancellor of Bishop Grosseteste University, the Honorary Award Committee, and the School of Arts and Humanities for the great honour conferred on me with this honorary doctorate. Thank you. I've worked as a music educator and choral director for more than 40 years, and I hope to go on into the future for many more. I believe passionately that the field of music education can change lives for the good, and in particular, open access music education. In this, I'm referring to work with early years, music lessons in schools and at all key stages, in colleges and universities, in choirs and choruses and amateur orchestras, in care homes and hospitals, in youth centres and evening classes, in concert halls and in festivals. For many, singing in their choir or attending their band rehearsal can be the most important activity they do outside their working lives. At all ages, friendships are formed when we make music together. It's a very sociable thing to do, with everyone working towards a common goal. We are stimulated emotionally and intellectually. We gain patience and perseverance through practice and rehearsal. It's good for our mental health, And for many of our problems, they're parked at the rehearsal door to be forgotten for a couple of hours. We learn to be on time, wearing the right clothes and with the proper kit, and bringing the correct pieces of music. We work as a team, and we help those who are struggling. Training choirs or amateur orchestras is a true mixed ability teaching situation and has given me so much pleasure and challenge over the years. If we dare to aim high, it's amazing what we can achieve. Living through this last 18 months of the pandemic has highlighted how many people of all ages and from all backgrounds have missed their choirs, their bands, their gigs, and their concerts. As musicians, we must ensure they resume as soon as it's safe. We have found that society cannot live without music. So, if you're receiving your degree today and starting out as a music educator, I wish you all luck. I'm certain you will create some wonderful opportunities and challenges for yourself and others through your hard work and imagination. I urge you to fight for your subject. You're going to need to at times. But we know that music is essential to the human spirit and not some elitist addition to all our lives. Thank you.
We encourage your celebrations to be seen and heard, so please feel free to unmute your microphone and turn on your camera. We now present the following candidates, including those in absentia. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Education, with first-class honours and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Harry Louth. Samaya Ramsdale. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Education, with honours, Francesca Bohr. Georgia Burt. Isabel Holmes. Hannah Manson. Callum Parks. Luke Stanger. Amber Willey. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Education, Esme Whitehead. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Education, with recommendation for QTS, with first-class honours and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Danielle Ashdown. Christopher Bacon. Olivia Bartholomew. Kira Brooker-Martin. Daisy Brown. Molly-Ann Burnett. Jasmine Cameron. Jadan Christian. Victoria Collett. Connie Cooper. Amy Cummins. Bethany Dobson. Caitlin Dunnett. Stacey Ella. Jessica Fennick. Grace Flint. Lydia George. Chloe Golland. Sophie Jane Guest. Molly Harrison. Natalie Hawkins. Tia Rose Lawley. Emily Marshall. Jessica McBride. Becky McGeechan. Georgina Moody. Amy Murden. Hadika Mustak. Courtney Newton. Katie Nichols. Kate O'Hanlon. Quinn Pachesney. Helena Ram, Nicole Richardson, Charlie Rowbottom, Chloe Smith, Hannah Smith, Ellie Spraught, Libby Stuttard, Constance Taylor, Ellie Wire. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Education, with recommendation for QTS, with honours, Ronan Adams, Sinead Armstrong, Alexandra Barton, Louise Beasley, Rachel Bosworth, Tilly Bray, Jacob Brooke, Alice Corris, Remy Cox, Bethany Crawley, Megan Dillon, Melissa Eglin, Joseph Finnegan. Winner of the OSA Award for Outstanding Classroom Practice in the field of ITE, Alicia Gibbs. Bethany Gibson, Annalie Gilhespie, Ellie Gray, Lily Gerbert, Stacey Hibbins, Ellie Mae Hode, Tamara Hoyland, Rebecca Kane, Rhiannon Lawrence, Daniel Lyle, Neve Mackey, Erin McLean, Hannah McNaughton, Shirelle Miller, Olivia Palmer, Rebecca Parkins, Abigail Randell, Jasmine Reed, Skye Robinson, Madeline Schofield, Gemma Smith, Holly Spencer, Billy Swin, Chloe Walker, Chloe Waters, Ailsa White, Briar Rose Wilding, Jasmine Wilkins, Shannon Wilders, Alexia Winters. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Teaching, 5 to 11, with honours, Stephen Hill. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Teaching, with recommendation for QTS, 5 to 11, with first class honours and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Claire Christie, Kerry Davidge, Hannah Kavanagh, Lauren Lee, Maria Andrea Sande Fernandez, Laura Spires, Lois Stanley, Gloria Tuplin. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Primary Teaching, with recommendation for QTS 5 to 11, with honours, Jane Bedwell, Gabrielle Brown, Ben Cadman, Nicole Cannon, Yvonne Cantrell, Kerry Cockcroft, Olivia Foster, Nicola Fox, Melissa Haynes, Laura Hall, Tegan Hargreaves, Jessica Holness, Henry Millard, Carl Newbury, Lisa Odell, Emmy Preece, Nicola Reynolds, Gavin Sharman, Jade Smedley, Jake Smith, Chloe Watson. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, TESOL and Linguistics, with first class honours and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Alyssa Joy, Melanie Oakes, Wenwen Wei. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, TESOL and Linguistics, with honours, Muna Abdi, Emily Dorr, Oliver Jones, Courtney Simmons. Master of Arts in Education with distinction and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Rebecca Hamnett. Master of Arts in Education, Rachel Carpenter, Teresa McQuiston, Claire Nestor, Angela Pearson, Stephanie Saville, Paul Staples, Elizabeth Lunn. Master of Arts in Education with TESOL, with distinction and the Chancellor and University Council Award for Academic Achievement, Shanta Biswas, Lianshin Lee, Gavin Wilson. Master of Arts in Education with TESOL, Unimi Ekpenyong, Samuel Fashanu, Dongli Fubo, Shiqiao Huang, Neil Martin, Thomasina Morrison, Soraya Mustafa. Postgraduate Diploma in Education with TESOL, Aurora Clinker, Rachel Summerfield. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Art and Design, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Sian Matthews, Simone Munro, Willem Rivers, Ruth Stanley. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Business, 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Charlotte Brazier, Gar Chan. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Computing, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Matthew Brown, Lewis Rope. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Dance, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Amelia Croucher, Abigail Markland. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Design and Technology, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Caroline Gollin. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Design and Technology, School Direct, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Samuel Cragg. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Drama, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Demi Lee Applegate, Abigail Dixon, Caitlin Kitney Foster, Chloe Ladlow, Paul Robinson, Olivia Scott, Daniel Woodthorpe. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary English, 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Ian Barnes, Emily Gilbert, Georgia Smith. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary English, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Troy Andrews, Becky Baker, TJ Brett, Adam Burton. Laura Cacote, Yasmin Shajid, Phoebe Chapman, Rianne Clark Walters, Abigail Draper, Bronwyn Hall, Emily Hamilton, Emma Harness, Charlie Hawthorne, Katie Marriott, Amanda Maslin, Samuel MacDonald, Yasmin Mulholland, Alice Pickup, Gemma Snow, Harriet Tricker. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary English, 11 to 16, Jocelyn Croft. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary English, School Direct, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Molly Ambler, Ruth Gelsthorpe. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Geography, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Paul Braham, Sean Lee, David Morley, Madeline Peel, Bethany Reynolds, Alicia Selby. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Geography, School Direct, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Jamie Lee Kirkham, Luke Newby, Ellie Mulligan. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary History, 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Yuvan Goriswaran. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary History, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Jack Gilchrist, Alexandra Goff, Rowan Hooper, Lauren Marshall, Jonathan Meads, Rebecca Newton, Jake Nicholson, Michael Quinn, Martin Roberts, Lauren Sewell, Lorna Swan, Rebecca Willing. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary History, School Direct, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Melissa Ashfield, Jackie Giannakovo, Michael Ty, Andrew Whelan. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Mathematics, 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Christopher Barnes. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Mathematics, School Direct, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Mark Harrison, Aaron Waring. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Mathematics, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Rosanna Dobson, Lauren English, Priyanka Hake, Bethany Munson, Thomas Riley, Fatima Rizvi, Ella Webb, Cassandra Whelan, Alexandra Wright. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Modern Foreign Languages, French, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Chloe Di Bilbao, Hannah Masterman, Ailsa Sandiford. For the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, Secondary Modern Foreign Languages, Spanish, German, French, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Blanca de la Rosa. For For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary modern foreign languages, Spanish, German, French, 11 to 16, Suzanne Walker. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary modern foreign languages, Spanish, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Carolee de Stevenson, Thomas O'Brien, Gabriela Tarosca. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary music, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Sam Atkin, Rachel Davidson, Amelia Hall, Amy Hodgson, Charlotte Richardson, Gemma Warledge. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary physical education, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Bethany Andrews, Declan Kerr, Harry Mee, George Morgan, William Pert, Laura Stockdale, Joe Wilkinson, Hayden Williams. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary physical education, School Direct 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Madison Brock, Reese Hoodless, Jack Pearson, Bradley Shaw. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary psychology 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Hannah Keeling, Hannah Taylor. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary religious education, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Alana Deacon, Alexandra Fulger, Emily Harty, Emily Vickers, Charlotte Watson. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary religious education, School Direct 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Jasmine Beebe. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary science, with biology, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Unimi Ekpenyong, Leah Hammett. Winner of the award for academic progression in the field of initial teacher education in memory of Len Marsh, Mary Harper, Ethan Nundy, Amy Pawson, Joseph Smith, Danielle Waite, Hannah Woods. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary science with biology, School Direct 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Amy Hardy, Lindsay Hollingsworth, Anna Slan, Adam Smith. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary science with chemistry, 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Jack Memmett. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary science with chemistry, School Direct 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Elizabeth Thompson. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary science with physics 11 to 16, Paul Robertshaw. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary social science 11 to 16, with recommendation for QTS, Kirsty Ann Bowen. For the postgraduate certificate in education, secondary social science 14 to 19, with recommendation for QTS, Chloe Bray, Emily Cookson, Charlotte Etherton, Jessica Geraghty, Georgina Grigg, Jake Horlington. For the postgraduate certificate in general practice nursing, Elizabeth Bates, Nicola Bull, Dawn Gallagher, Catherine Kiss, Stephanie Matthews, Catherine Ogg, Jennifer O'Neill, Claire Shortus, Emily Sim. For the postgraduate diploma in education, training and skills, Robbie Blunden, Nathan Doe, Courtney Janes, Hannah King, Sophie Simons. For the postgraduate diploma in education, training and skills, computing, Michael Wright. For the professional graduate diploma in education, training and skills, English, Jeanette Andrews, Sean Burt, Alexander Ramsden. For the professional graduate diploma in education, training and skills, SEND, Molly Iveson. And finally, for the Doctorate of Philosophy, awarded by the University of Leicester, with a thesis titled Dreaming and Sleep-Dependent Memory Consolidation, Anthony Bloxham. With a thesis titled Do I Really Have a Choice? The Decision-Making Behaviours of Post-16 Pupils, a Qualitative Case Study, Alison Riley. For the Doctorate of Education, awarded by the University of Leicester, with a thesis titled Old Wine, New Bottle, The Political Narratives of Governments between 2005 and 2015 on what the soft legacy of the London 2012 Olympic Games afforded the subject of physical education school sport, Helen Bushell-Thornalley. With a thesis titled Degrees of Difference, a case study of Forest School in England and Denmark, Melanie Mackinder. With the thesis titled Undergraduate Programme Leadership and the Teaching Excellent Framework in Small Universities, a case study, Graham Meeson. With the thesis titled Describing Elusive Educational Practice, What is Teacher Presence and what characteristics of the phenomenon do teacher practitioners in English primary schools describe? Rachel Page. This concludes the reading of the graduates' names.
Hello everyone, my name is Erin and I'm the President of the Students' Union. I would like to congratulate each and every one of you for the immense strength and dedication you have shown during your time as a student. I am so aware that every single one of you have had wildly different experiences throughout your university journey, yet you are all brought here to celebrate together. So I would like you to take a moment to recognise those that you're graduating with, even those who you might not have met, and share your pride with them. Right, now you can go back to being proud of yourselves. Now I would like to give you a bit of advice that I've learned since leaving BGU. Don't look back at your time here with regret, because you've done it now. You've got the degree, you've probably conquered fears, and you've started the journey of the rest of your life. You've done it. University is not only a place to learn and get a degree, but it's also a place to develop as a person. So if you do have regrets, turn them into goals. Make your life what you want to make it, and use your university experience to do it, because you really do get so much more out of university than just your degree, so don't waste it. And finally, on behalf of the entire SU, I would like to thank you. Thank you for being honest with us and sharing insight on how to make your experience better. Thank you for contributing to the lovely community of BGU. And thank you for being so patient and understanding this past year. I wish you all the best in your future endeavours, and I hope to see some of you in the next year during your postgraduate studies. Thank you.